Tav Chesem and Aleph right at the top. So we learned previously that Rav Yehuda said that if you have a movi that's open on one end, that it's open to the Rishus Harabim. On the other end, it's open to a rachba, a back lot. So there's houses over here, and this is a back lot that's not used that oftenly. It's not frequently used. And then on that end, it's open to the Rishus Harabim. On that end, it's open to Rishus Harabim. So Rav Yehuda said that this is not considered to be a movi mafulish, and therefore you do not need a tzuras of Pesach over here. You don't need a tzuras of Pesach, so it's nitr with a lechir kair, like a regular movi, and it's mutter to be metaltal in the movi. But we thought originally to say that he held that it's only because it's a rachba, which is not frequently used. But if this would be a chotzer, which is, then even if this was closed and it was a regular movi sosum, but it would still be osir unless there was an area between the two, because this is open completely into an area which is osir, and you would need an area between the two to carry. It's only because it's a rachba, only because it's a back lot which is not frequently used. So we thought that Rav Yehuda was arguing on Rav, and he's going according only to Shmuel, and his opinion would be only according to Shmuel, and who Shmuel would hold that this is mutter, but Rav, who says that if you have the same scenario where it's open into a chotzer, so we thought to say, Rav says it's also to carry in the movi. Originally, we thought to say that it's also to carry in the movi, because this is considered a movi mefulish, and you need tzuras of Pesach. So we thought to say that Rav holds that this is considered mefulish, you need a tzuras of Pesach, and Shmuel holds that it's not considered mefulish. That's number one. But number two is Rav's case is talking about a chotzer. And we thought to say that he says it's also only because it's considered mefulish. But if it would not be considered mefulish, then he would hold that it's mutter, and we don't say that this is also without an eruv. So we thought that it was a two-way machlokes. Then the maskana of the Gemara, we said no, it's not that way. The reason Rav answers it is not that he considers it mefulish. He doesn't consider it mefulish, but he answers it because he holds that the bnei chotzer answers it on the movi unless there's an eruv, because it's completely open. But if there would be an eruv, there would be mutter. So memela, there's no machlokes between the two. That if there's an eruv, it's mutter. If it's not an eruv, it's awesome. But not because it's considered mefulish, it's also because of the bnei chotzer that also is on the movi. But now the Gemara is going back into the Havamina. In the Havamina, when they were arguing, so what was the basis of the machlokes? So Lamai, the Gemara Zok the Moral Mai, the Salakadaitami Karabain Sherevu Ben Shaleru Pligi, that we thought that they are arguing, it's machlokes Rav and Shmuel. The Ervu my Pligi, Mishaleru my Pligi. What's the machlokes, whether there's an Erev or not an Erev? What's the machlokes? Zok the Gemara Bishaloi Ervu, when there's no Erev, Pligi, Ben Ervu B'chutz, Sham B'fnim. The machlokes without an Erev is whether it's near mechut v'sham miftim. Now, the reason that this would be osir is if this is a chotzer and there's no eruv. If you say that this is completely open to a place which is osir, if there's no eruv, then it's osir to carry. It's completely open to it. Do we say, therefore, we would say that it's osir to carry here because it's completely opened into an area which is osir to carry. So that's the general principle, is that if you have a malkam that's nifritz b'maloi, even if it's not more than 10 amas, more than 10 amas is considered a pirtz, it's considered broken open. But the rule is generally that something which is less than 10, up to 10, then it's considered a Pesach. However, if it's completely open, if there's no remnant of a wall, there's no side points of a wall, there's no wall at all, it's completely open, then it's nifritz. If it's completely open to a makama, also to a place where you can't carry from one to the other, it's even also to carry in this place itself, not only to carry from here to here, but even in this place it's also to carry. The question is this considered nifritz b'malua? Now from the inside here, it's completely opened. However, the wall extends on the outside. So, therefore, the machlekes b'shloi erva is pligi b'nirm b'chutz v'shal b'miftim. From the inside, it looks like it's completely, there's no wall. But if you look on the outside, you see that there's the walls on the standing from here, there are walls. Do we consider this to be nifritz b'malu or not? And be'ervo, when there is an erev, so what would be the machlekes erev? Kamifli b'Rav Yosef. The machlekes is l'gabe what Rav Yosef says. Rav Yosef says, Loi shanu ela shekol sarachba. This is only where it goes into the middle of the rachba. But if it's kola, if it now is to the side of the rachba, it's also. Now, so in this scenario over here, if you're standing in the middle over here, so you see clearly that this is not opened completely directly into the Rishus Harabim, because you see that in this scenario with Kol Emsa to the middle of the Rachba, you see that there is a Rachba on both sides, and this is now open to the Rachba. The Rachba is open to the street, but not the Moli. However, if you have a scenario where it's not like that, if the Rachba is to one side, so if you have a Rachba over here, and then the Movi goes like this. So if you have the scenario where the Rachba, so it opens up into the Rachba, the Movi opens into the Rachba, but the Rachba is onto one side. And on the other side, if you're standing over here, then you don't see that there's a rachba. Now, if you're standing over here, you see that there's clearly an area over here. But on this side, if you're standing over here, it looks like you don't see, over here, you don't see, standing here, it looks like it goes straight through the Rishus Harabim, and the Movi goes straight through. So if it has somewhat of an indentation, so the Rachba is over here. But standing here, it looks like it goes straight out to the Rishus Harabim. Now, over here, it's clear that this opens into here, and then this is part of the Rachba area that goes out. So do we view this as being a Mavoi Mefulish? Because from one angle, it looks like it goes straight through. Or do we not look at it? So if it goes the previous scenario where you see clearly that there's a rachba on both sides, and you see clearly that it does not flow directly into the street, the rachba goes into the rachba, there it's not considered a malvei mefulish. But if in a scenario like this, so in the Havamina, that was the machlokes, do we consider this to be that it's mefulish, and therefore you need a tzuras HaPesach, halacha and kir is not sufficient? Or do we say that no, it's nevertheless, it's not mefulish, not right to the Rishus Harabim, because there is a rachba over there? Do we not consider it a malvi mefulish, and therefore you do not need a tzuras HaPesach? That was the Havamina of the machlokes. But now Lamaisa is saying that Lamaisa, they're not really arguing. They're not arguing, and they can each hold of each other. Amar Rabba, Hada Amrat le'em sarach b'muter. Now we're saying Lamaisa that Rav Yosef said that if you call it to the em sarach, that it's muter. That is lo yamar el zeh shelo keneged zeh. Awal zeh keneged zeh also. That's only if they're not directly opposite each other. But if they are directly opposite each other, then it's also. So now we're changing our understanding of what Rabbi Yehuda had said before, what Rabbi Shmuel said before. We're changing our understanding. Initially, we understood it to mean that if the Mavui is called into the Rachba, and even if the openings are directly opposite each other, that it would be mutter. Even if you're standing here and the openings are directly opposite each other, there's an entrance to the Rishus HaRabim here, and it's directly opposite. It's mutter because it opens into the Rachba, and you can see the Rachba on both sides. Now we're saying that no, if you can see straight through to the Rishus HaRabim, then we say then it's also, it is considered to be a Mavui Mefulish. It is considered to be a Mavui Mefulish in such a case. We're saying that it has to be that the openings are not directly opposite each other. So how is that? We have to say that the openings are not directly opposite each other. The opening to the Rachba is here. So they're not directly open to each other. Now, if you have a scenario like this, where it opens into the Rachba, and you can clearly see the sides of the Rachba, that the Rachba is on both sides, so you can clearly see that it opens to the Rachba, but you don't see, from the Mavui, you don't see the entrance to the street. The entrance to the street is only over here. That's where it's mutter. That's where he says it's mutter. However, in a scenario where you don't see the Rachba, in a scenario where the Rachba extends this way, and from this end, standing over here in the Mavui, you don't see the Rachba. If you're standing here, you don't see the Rachba. Now, you don't see the entrance to the street, but you don't see, because the entrance to the street is here, but you don't see the Rachba either, that the Rachba is pulled to one side. In that case, even if the openings are zeh shaloi keneged zeh, it still would be also. Then we're qualifying, now we're reinterpreting our understanding of what Rabbi Yehuda said, and in this case, it would still be also. It's only a mutter if you see the Rachba on both sides. And, as opposed to what we said before, the entrance to the street here cannot be opposite to the entrance here. It cannot be that you can see an entrance on both ends, then it would be considered mefulish. Omer Masharshi says another qualification. Now we said that in this case over here, that this is not permitted. This is over here is not permitted, even though the openings to the Rishus HaRabim are not opposite each other. So even though the openings are not opposite, and when you're in the Mavui, you see an opening to the Rishus HaRabim on one end, but not on the other end. But this is not mutter. The only case of zeh shaloi keneged zeh that it's mutter, we said it's mutter, is if when you're in the Mavui, you can see on both ends that it's open to a Rachba. So we said in a case like this, where you see that it is, when you're standing over here, you see that there is a Rachba on both sides, that it's not directly open to the street, and the passage that shaloi keneged zeh. So it's mutter, but even then, we only say it's mutter. That is only amran el rachba derabim, if this belongs to many people, not to a yachid. Aval rachba de yachid, but if it only belongs to one person, then we would not allow it, because zimna de mamlecha, he might change his mind. He might build in this area, and if he does, then it will in effect be, if he builds this up over here, and he builds this area in over here with houses, then from this side, then it will just look like the Mavui is extending straight through, and it looks like there's only on one side there's a Rachba, but on the other side it's all built up. So it's like the previous case where it looks like it's not kala to the Rachba, where it is kala then not to a rachba, but the movi extends straight up. So therefore, in that case, we will not allow it because we're afraid that the yochid will change his mind, and therefore it'll be considered that if it's built up over here and it's built in with houses, actually this is more accurate here, the way it looks on this side, that if it's built up over here, it'll look like the movi extends straight through, and that it's not kala l'rachba. If you're standing over here, it will look like this is just an extension of the movi. Therefore, it's like the previous case, and it's all seven. Well, how do I know that we make this distinction between a rachba and a yochid rabin, and we're concerned that the use might change? There was a maisa where the movoi was, you had a movoi, let's assume a simple case, where it is not kala le rachba or to a chotzer. You have a movoi, and you have the movoi that one end is open here and one end is open here, so it's straight through. But one end of it is open to an ashba, so there's a garbage dump over here. Now assume that this is from ground level 10 tefachim high. And on the other end, actually let me reverse it so it'll be easier to see. Let's say, assume that on this end it's called to a yam, and on this end it's called to an ashba. Now this is 10 or more high, 10 tefachim, so this is, in effect, is a garbage dump. In effect, it has a mechitza. This side over here, on this side, the bank of the water, or whatever it is, the lake or the river, is also 10 high. The bank of the water of the yam, from the ground level, the water is here, the ground level, this bank is 10 high. So this is also a mechitza. So you have a mechitza on both sides. So therefore, essentially, it should be mutter, because you're blocked off, your entrance to the mom, you're blocked off on both sides. So there was this maisa. Uba maisa l'fnei Rabbi, the maisa came before him, v'lomer b'lo het v'lo yisr, and he didn't pass also a mutter. Now, essentially, it should be mutter, because you have a mechitza on both sides. Isr lo yamar, why he didn't say an isr, because lo yamar da'al kaim mechitzas, because you have these mechitzas. Had to lo yamar ba, but he didn't want to be matter because the use might change, and this is the point that we're coming to. The use might change. We're afraid that yes, you have the mechitza of the dump, but it might get cleared away. The use will change, and it might clear it away, and therefore it's open. Or maybe on the yam, it's the alabas sirtan. So therefore, the bank, it might have sediment, sand and sediment that causes it to slope, and therefore you don't have an upright, straight mechitza of 10. Then it's only straight over here of 10, from the ground level till here. It comes here, it's not 10 rather, it comes straight, it's vertical only up till this point, and perhaps it'll be less than 10. So then you won't have mechitza. So therefore he did not want to pass. And so you see that we are concerned that the use might change. Are we concerned that the garbage dump might be removed? Are we concerned of a change of use? If you have an ashba that's in Rishus Yerabim, which is 10 high, so assume that this is the street over here, and there's a dump over here in front of the person's house. If you have a window that is over the dump, you can throw from here onto the dump. Now, even though there's a street running here, it's still mutter, because if this dump over here, it's more than 10 high. If it's dalet al dalet, it's Rishus Yachid. You're throwing from Rishus Yachid to Rishus Yachid, not Rishus Rabin. If it's not Daladal, it's a Malkim Batur. It's a Rishus Yarat a Malkim Batur. You're not throwing to the Rishus Ram. So over there we say, then it's Gavoyad, Chalan Shalgal, Zurg, and Lavi Shabbos. It's Mutter. Alma, what do we see? That, why is it Mutter? Why aren't we concerned that Shemi Tenotal and Ashba? Alma, we see that Shani ben Ashba the Rabbin and Ashba the Yochi. You see, there's a difference between a public and a private. By a single person, he's in control of it. He can determine, he might change it. There we're concerned. By the public, there's many people that we're not concerned that, well, because they need a consensus, we're not concerned that the use will change. And similarly, in the case of the Mavoi, that's open to the Rachba, he said, if it's a Rachba the Yochid that we're concerned, he'll build houses and fill it in, and it'll look like a Rachba that's only open on one side. Movie that's open only one side of the Rachba, not on the other side. That's if it's a Rabbim, then we're not concerned it's mutter. So we see the difference. Achanami shani ben Rachba the Rabbim, the Rachba the Yochid. Rabbanan Mai, what do the Rabbanan hold? This shaila about the Asha was brought for Rebbe. What do the Rabbanan hold in such a case? Omar Rav Yosef Bavdimi Tana v'Chachamim Oisrim. They said it's awesome. That's halacha that it's also, we are concerned that the ashba will be removed. Ikadamre, Amar of Yosef Bravadimi, Tana, Chachamim Matirim, the Chacham Matirim, Amar of Nachman, Ein halacha kedivre Chachamim. He said the Chacham is Matirin, and he said the halacha is not kedivre Chachamim. So in the case where, in the case where you have on one side an ashba, and on one side you have the yam, the halach is that it's aser. But again, we're qualifying it. We're saying there's a difference between an ashba yochid and ashba the rabbim. Maremer pasuk l'sura be'uzli. He used to separate it if you had the yam. So assuming that this is the case of the yam and the mova is open into the sea over here. So you had the waters of the yam over here. Now, we said we're concerned, maybe Shemayala Sirtan, maybe it will be now sloped, and you won't have a mechitza. He used to put netting over here. As a backup, he put netting over here so that you would have a mechitza. Omar, Chashin Shemayala Yam, Sirtan were afraid that the sediment will now erode the walls and you won't have a mechitza. There was a Mavi Alkum that was in Surah. So it's open to the Rishus Rabbim on one end, it's open to the Rishus Rabbim on the other end. But it's an L shape, so it has a bend. It has a bend in it. So again, we had before the machlokes, do we consider this to be foolish or do we consider it to be solsum? On this end it's closed, on this end it's closed, but if you go around the bend, it's open on both sides. So there was a how Mavi Alkum the Surah Korach Budya Oisiva Be Bakmimusa. They rolled up a mat and they put it in the bend. They rolled up a mat and they put it in the bend. And they put it in the bend here to serve as a lechi. And therefore that would allow them to carry with the lechi or on each end. They made a tikkun and they allowed you to carry. Amar Chisna, the like Rav, like Shmuel. He says it's not neither like Rav or like Shmuel. It's not neither one of them. Because the Rav according to Rav, who says it's considered foolish, you need a tzuras pesach over a doorway. It's not enough to have a lechi. And with Shmuel, and even according to Shmuel, the Shmuel David Rosaka salsum that it is salsum, but still, nevertheless, hanimil lechi malya. He says it's mutter with a lechi, but you need a proper lechi. But aval hai kevin the noshe bezika v'shaded like this is just a mat. If the wind would come, it would blow it down. It would topple it over. That's not considered to be a proper lechi. Lev klumu, it's nothing. The Gemara says, however, in any event, you could use it, but if you take the mat and you nail it into the wall, or you put a peg, literally peg into the wall so that it will withstand the blowing of the wind, then it is considered lechi and it's considered mutter.